I'm joined once again by Captain Crunch, Cameron Olson, who's going to be back in action coming up here at LFA 29 on December 15th. Cam, what's going on? How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
It's good to talk to you again. I'm doing well. I appreciate you asking, as always. And I know we recently just had American Thanksgiving this past weekend. How was your Thanksgiving?
I had a great time. I went back home to Iowa and saw some family I haven't seen for a while with my wife and everything, so we had a good time.
Excellent. So you're back in Milwaukee now, I assume?
Yep, still in Milwaukee, so it's about a 6-hour drive to central Iowa, which with 2 dogs can be kind of rough, but we made it.
Do you put on like any podcasts, when you go on the long drive, or you listen to any music? What do you do to sort of pass the time?
I did manage my wife isn't a big fan of podcasts, but obviously I love them, so I managed to listen to a few.
Nice. What are you listening to right now, just podcast-wise?
Joe Rogan, usually the Rogan podcast, and it was a good one. I think she kind of liked it, actually. So
yeah, I'm the same way. I have to sort of negotiate it, when it comes to the car time. But my argument is if I'm driving, I sort of get to select the tunes.
Exactly,
and everything, right?
My same argument. Yeah,
you got to use that leverage, right? And so it's definitely worthwhile. Let's talk about your last fight. Of course, I talked to you before that one, Dana White's Contender Series 6. You went out there and got a big win over Carl Reed, who, for those who don't know, is a training partner of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And you went out there and got the decision in that one. What were sort of your thoughts on your performance in that fight and, kind of looking back on it now?
I wish I would have gotten the finish, of course. There's a few times, especially in the second round, where I feel like I really could have, looking back on it. Hindsight's 20/20. I'm still happy I got the win because the loss would have really put me back. But, it's definitely motivational. And as far as a fighting style and a body type for a person to get a knockout on, let's say, he was a big dude, so probably not as likely for a guy built like him. But just upward and onward. So I'm glad I got the win, and I think it'll boost me forward in another one coming up here.
Cool. And did you get any feedback from the UFC at all after that fight, or did you not talk to them?
No, I didn't talk much. I just told Dana thanks for the opportunity. I didn't expect to obviously get a contract without getting a finish, so I just figured it'd be in. Hopefully I can fight for the show again or just get a contract in a different route.
How about on social media? Did you get any feedback from people that was the feedback a little bit more for this than, say, some of your other fights?
Not so much. That's something I should probably do, is really get on social media more often. I'm just too much on the training aspect of things and need to get my name out there a little more via social media, but nothing too crazy, no.
I was going to say, you got a bunch of teammates who have kind of mastered the Twitter thing. Mike Biggie Rhodes, Bilal Muhammad, like they're pretty good at the Twitter thing. So I think you got a couple good guys you can bounce some ideas off of, because they got the really sort of savage tweets, as I like to call it, when it comes to making jokes and stuff.
Most definitely, yeah. I could probably learn a few things from them, but I always in my head, and it's probably not the way to look at it, but I'm like, once I get in the UFC, then I'll probably be a little more prevalent. People would care more, but now's the time to start practicing, I suppose.
Let's talk about your opponent here. I didn't even mention it off the top. You're taking on Jaquis Williams. I believe that's how you pronounce it. He's got the 7-6 record. How do you feel like you match up against him in this fight?
Just fine. I mean, he's I've seen him in a few other of my fights. Obviously fight other guys and everything. So worthy. He's fought about the same amount of times as I have. He's been around, a worthy veteran and everything. So big enough guy, moves well enough. So I don't overlook anybody. I just go in the ring, same mind, same concept every time. So I'm pretty pumped. I'm glad to get a fight.
Yeah, no, for sure. And of course, you're back with LFA, which is never a bad thing. LFA always promoting guys at the UFC all the time. How's your training camp going for this one? I know you got a couple of new bodies in there. I know Ryan James was down there, guy I know quite well up here in Canada. How's the training camp been?
Fantastic. Speaking of Ryan, he was pretty much my main training partner when he was down here, because he's a big enough guy. So it was awesome to have him around. We definitely were bouncing ideas off of one another, learning a few things from one another, and pushing one another. So I was totally stoked to have him here, and I hope he comes back again soon. I say this every time we talk, but I really have been training harder than I ever have and more than I ever have. So I'll be ready for this fight.
No, that's awesome. How's the weight cut going? You survived Thanksgiving, I assume, so everything going according to plan, getting down to 205.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even really do it on purpose, but I was within 5 pounds of fight weight before I went back home for Thanksgiving. So I'm sure I bounced up a bit. I'm already looking a little chubby in the cheeks, I can tell, but it'll come off this week, no problem.
And what's your prediction for this fight, December 15th? How do you see this fight ending?
I really got to go out there and try to get that finish first round, and then just don't worry about getting gassed out or anything. Just go for it. Go for that that knockout at submission as soon as possible. If I don't get in the first round, in the second, and the third, just get a finish.
And what about after this? Is the plan to sort of stay with LFA, or are you looking to go back in the Contender Series? What's sort of the game plan after this?
If the Contender Series would have me, I'd definitely go, or try to get a belt for LFA. I don't think ideally this would be my last fight. Just kind of more to fight, I guess you would say. I'm just trying to keep busy. But after that, I'm trying more high caliber fights. So either a title, I would say, or go back for the Contender Series.
Yeah, because I was going to say they don't have a light heavyweight champion right now, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think so, anyways. Not that I know. So.
Yeah, I think it's vacant for light heavyweights. I'm not sure who they'd want to have me fight for it. Obviously, after a potential win here. So yeah, I'm open to whatever. Just whatever gets me there as soon as possible.
What are you watching on Netflix right now, or TV in general? Anything good right now?
Netflix, so nothing too new. I saw Frontier. I don't know if I haven't even started watching it, but I kind of was reading about it a little bit, and that looks like a pretty great show. I've been watching a lot of the Harry Potter weekend, movies. We have the movies, and I still watch them probably every week.
Okay.
So
Nice.
I watched a lot of that this week.
Yeah, that's great. No, it's good to get that stuff, especially during training camp, to kind of take your mind off things, right? So it's good to have that, kind of downtime to take it easy and everything.
For sure. And I guess I also watched Ballers the other day on HBO.
Oh, awesome.
That's a good
Great show.
But you got to love The Rock. Can't go wrong.
And anything with The Rock is good, except for some of his early movies, but we won't go into that.
There's some cheesy stuff out there for sure.
Some stuff I'm sure he regrets a bit. But LFA 29 is coming up here December 15th, live on Access TV. Camu's always good catching up with you, man. Just remind people where they can find you on social media. And if you got any sponsors or shout-outs, the floor is yours.
Captain Crunch MMA, CAPN for Captain, on Twitter and Instagram, Cameron Olson MMA, or Captain Crunch MMA on Facebook, excuse me. I just wanted to say thanks to my teammates, and also hey to my family. I had a great time at Thanksgiving. I love you guys, and I'm doing my best to make you proud here coming up on the 15th.